Jaime from Inky&Scrappy, back with my Brewing Up creativity for March 2024 Card 2 class. So if you watched the last one, we did the Ta-Da diorama. We're using the same pattern paper. This is the Simple Stories Hoppy Easter plaid paper. That's kind of where my color palette came in. For this one, I actually switched out the color palette. So the only colors that I'm going to use that are the same are, of course, the pink. And then I brought in different browns. I think I'm going to do a brown bunny today instead of a white bunny. So this one is just a simple slider card. And so I did a simple modern emboss frame for this one. I put my little track on. The track comes from Fawn, so it's one of their mover and shaker style dies, but I cut them all out all at the same time with this one, so doing multiples in that works well. I do the same thing when I do the front panel on my Ta-Da diorama. Since I have it still sitting here and I forgot to show it in the last video, that's how I do. I measure once, tape it good, and I use it multiple times to cut for card class, or if you're making multiple cards for anything, it works well. So for this one, we're just using that little bunny and that little carrot car from Fawn's new stamp set. Carrot About You, is that what that one's called? I think that's what that one's called. I don't even know if I have the stamp set in shouting distance here. Oh, I do. I do. Okay. Jaime the unorganized crafter. Okay. So the Carrot About You stamp set. So we're just using the big one and the bigger bunny that goes with that one today. You could definitely add some other things to your scene. I wanted to keep this one simple. I usually do one more complicated and one simple card, but of course I wanted to make my carrot card move because it's a carrot card. It needs to get motoring, right? So I will have this color guide up on my blog if you are interested. It just lays out the colors that I used for each step. Keep in mind, if you want a little bit more color variation in your carrot card, do a second layer of your lightest tone, leaving a white spot in the middle where you want your highlight to be. That will help give you that highlighted area. Of course, this one is going to have my warm gray blend for my bunny. I'm going to go with a thin persimmon and buttercup yellow. So E189 is my darker tone, E294 is my lighter tone for my rabbit on this one. So this one's fairly easy color wise because we only have two little images to color. So let me zoom this one in here. Are we gonna be, I didn't say that I'm gonna be too close for the camera. There we go. I think we're gonna work here. I'm just gonna draw in my little, we'll call it my playpen again. So I stay within my playpen for my coloring. Move yourself, not your image, right? Oh yeah, I struggle, man, I struggle. Okay, so for this one, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna start with my darkest orange, which is terracotta. Oh, I didn't do that color on that one, whoops. I'm, not following my own color guide today. Go figure. I'm going to drop in a shadow underneath where that rim is. And then, of course, I want to add a little bit to those lines that are in the carrot. If you've ever planted carrots, you know that they kind of have those crevices that just tend to be darker. Like the dirt stays in them a little bit more, or they're darker. So. And then I'm going to add a couple of dash marks up from the underside. They might not be there, but I feel that they should be there. I'm also going to do the inside of my wheels green today. I did it on one of the cards that I colored the other day and I liked it. So I'm switching it up today. So of course I'd already colored that with the darker. I probably could have erased it a little bit with my blender brush, but coming in and adding that one. But for this one, we're going to come in and we're going to go over the area that we already colored, but then bring it down just a little bit. I want it to kind of have a spherical, a rounded shape. It's not going to be perfect, but it's, you know, going to have hopefully a lighter area. And then by adding in that one there. So then I'm going to come back in now once I have my second layer. Well, it's my first layer of lighter, but I'm going to come in with a second layer of the lighter, but I'm going to go over everything that I've already colored. It's going to kind of, I don't want to say bleed out, but it's going to kind of fade out that darkest tone a little bit, but it's also going to add another layer of pigment on top of the color that I had already just colored with the same marker, so it darkens that one a little bit, and then you'll get a better transition from light to dark there. And I'm going to do the same thing with this area here. I kind of want it highlighted in that middle area just because it's so dark. The other, you know, the rest of it's dark underneath it, so I kind of wanted it to be a little bit lighter. And then for my greens, I'm going to use Vivid Green, which is G472, and Grass Green, which is G483 in my Ohuhu markers. Oh, I need to start with my dark one, sorry. So for this, for my carrot top, I'm just going to come in and kind of swoop and come down to the base there. And then for the tire, inside of the tire, I'm just going to do a little shadow on the bottom, and then I'll come in with my lighter tone, and I'm just going to color in that whole area with my lighter tone. Just kind of a one and done, nothing too difficult there. For my tire, I'm just going to hit that area and then that area, and we're done with the tire. Now I did get a little out of the line into the tire, but that's okay. That's where that dark NG8. So I'm using a neutral gray 8 and 6. Any dark gray is going to work. You could go with black for part of it if you want. Now my tip for tires is to kind of just divide it, kind of make it look like a life preserver on a boat. It kind of gives you that first like little angled line, and it makes this a little bit easier. So I'm really just going to kind of color in. I do go over that line a little bit because I don't want it to be a solid black line. It's not going to matter if you do or you don't for the most part. I just like to not have that be a straight, I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be a straight line in real life. So therefore, that one looks wonky, but it's fine. Okay, and then I'm just going to go in with that lighter gray. And it's not too light, but it's lighter than my darkest tone, and so once it dries, it's going to dry back a little bit, and you'll get a little bit of a shade on it. You can definitely add in a second or a third color, and it'll, you know, it'll lighten. It's going to lighten some as it dries, so it looks really dark right now. And of course, I'm out of my playpen. But so it looks really dark right now. Once it dries, it will kind of dry back to look like that one, where you kind of have that variegation in color there. So if that helps, I don't know. And so for my rabbit here, I'm going to start with my darkest tone, and I'm going to lay in my darker shadowing. These pretty little, see, I don't even know if you need to go with 2 markers. You could probably get away with 1 here. And you really don't need to do the bottom half because the bottom half is in the car. But I'll semi-color the bottom half. Does that make you feel better? And then I'm going to come in with my lighter tone. And I'm not going to add the pink in on this one just because it's so little. I'll come back in when I'm all done and add the pink in. And I'm not too worried about the bottom here. And for my pink again, I have the E195, which is pear color. And you could, with the brown, you could definitely go a shade darker with your pink on this one if you wanted to get it to show up a little bit better. Off the top of my head, I don't know which color that's going to be. If I had my swatches, I could probably tell you a little bit better. But there is my little bunny inside of my little clown, my little clown car, my little carrot car. I can't talk today either. So for class, we did, I'm gonna zoom this back out before I forget. Okay. So for class, I took a grassy hillside border. I want to say this is the mushroom hillside border from Fawn, and I cut my piece of paper, or my piece of mylar, I think it's called mylar, a little bit, I think it's about a 6-inch, but it didn't cut through on the ends, which ended up working out really well. But if it did, it wouldn't have been a big deal. You can definitely just, you know, work with it on that level anyways. So for this one, we're going to kind of slide this one in kind of backwards. It kind of looks backwards, or you think about it backwards, because you're putting the mask on the top and you're not using it like you do the cloud stencil. So for this one, I kind of want it there. I'm going to use, so I used, the purple and the orange bled through pretty good. I used Avery removable adhesive sheet, cut them into strips to put my little critters on for class. And then we're going to take that removable, so double-sided stick tape, washi tape, anything that's going to help you hold that in place. You can use magnets if you're on your Make Art Station, or your glass media mat that's magnetized if you so choose. I am horrible at all of those things. We know this. It's not my strong suit. I tend to hold and hope for the best. So for this one, we're coming in with the Distress Ink Evergreen Bow. You can definitely go with a oxide on here if you so choose. I tried to keep it, you know, for class I keep it with my Distress Inks because that's what I have, the little ones for class. Now the goal for this one is we are coloring that whole bottom piece. Now you can definitely do die cut and layers, but when you're having something that moves, it really is a lot nicer to just have a single layer, especially if you're doing grass. If you were going to do it in layers, I would suggest not having the spiky grass for that layer. I would just have a hillside that's not a grassy hillside. Does that make sense? Now for this one, I'm just going to come in and kind of work my color. I want it darker on the top. Really, this one, we kind of want it dark. The same darkness all the way along, but I like to have it a little bit darker towards the top than on the bottom. It's not, I don't know, it's not that big of a deal one way or the other. And I usually start off of the paper when I start to ink blend. Softer hand is better than a heavy hand. And by starting off of the paper and working your way onto the paper, you're going to avoid like blotches, right? You know, if I go in with my brush right here and I push down hard, I'm going to end up with a blotch if I just inked my brush. So that's one way to kind of avoid the blotchies. You still might get blotchies. It's, you know, grass has, how shall we say, some color variations and variegations in there. If you notice, I also kept in that little slider piece. Why would you keep in that slider piece? We are going to tuck it back behind later on to kind of make our scene look seamless, or a little more seamless. We could do shaded lilac on this one. We could do pink. I think we're going to do pink on this one. I did do pink on mine, and I think pink clouds would be fun. Now, once I have this one, so I'm done with that bottom part, I'm going to pull this off. And now we're going to use it as a mask, per se, on the opposite end. So keeping in mind, I'm going to try to keep this maybe a little overshadow on it. I don't want to, and for class I ended up wiggling it and it did not work well for me, but it worked in the end. So I'm going to try to add in my adhesive on the back. Yeah, see, I wiggled it. So let's see here. Okay. So I have it, I don't know if you can see it very good, but it's tucked, like, it's not right on the grass line. It's kind of just below the grass line because I don't want that white halo or shadow. And so by doing it this way, I'm hoping to avoid getting that white shadow this time. We'll see how I do. So I'm going to come in with Spun Sugar for this one. Feel free to use like a Stormy Sky or the shaded Lilac. That's kind of what we did in class. We had wanted blue and pink clouds, and then she got the purple in there as well. And they turned out fantastic. Ooh, I don't use Spun Sugar very much, can you tell? Because it's like super juicy. Alrighty. And I'm just going to shift my stencil over here. I'm just going to go with the one. I'm not going to come in with the bigger one. I want the smaller cloudy stencil here. And I think we're pretty good there. I will go one more layer. And then to finish it up, I don't want that stark white on the bottom. So I try not to redip my brush. I just try to use the ink that's on there and work my way up from the stencil to just kind of blend that in. And so then we get our like little panel here. Now if you've got some splotches on it that you don't particularly care for, if you are using distress ink or a water reactive ink, you can go in and add a little bit of water, which will give it that little distressed look here. Let's let it work its magic. And let's see, do I have a paper towel? I do have a paper towel. Oh, I didn't really hit it very good, did I? Okay, that's definitely going to give me some more splotchies. Okay, so just hitting it with a little bit of water will kind of hide any imperfections that you might have seen in your ink blending. It's, you know, it's all good. You can also go in with a mica fleck spray, or, you know, fleck it with sparklies if you want some sparklies in there. I'm not going to do that today, but you are more than welcome to do that today. Alrighty, I'll grab the rest of my pieces out of my bin here. I'll throw the pieces that I don't need into my bin here. Okay, clean up my work surface. Kind of, sort of. I just push it past the buck, right? So for this one here, so now that we're done ink blending, I can pop out that little piece. I don't want to lose it though, so set it somewhere that you're going to be able to find it. Or, you know, you lose it and it falls like somebody else has issues with. It's me. I have issues, okay? And I did not grab. Okay, I did grab, but I didn't put it in that bin. I put it in the other bin. Where did you go? Cotton Eye Joe. Okay, I did pull it up. Okay, I'm using my favorite things, replenishments. These ones are the spin and slide discs. Mini buttons could work as well. I've used them before. They're a little bit bigger than these, but as long as they're smaller than your channel, they will work. I do sand mine down so they hold adhesive better. So I just have a emery board. I've already done all of them in the bag. I like to do, it's easier if you do the whole bag as soon as you get it, because then you don't have to remember to do this step all the time. But just going like this with both of them on both sides, it roughs it up a little bit and makes it adhere or stick better to that adhesive. It just saves, I don't want to say it saves time, but it helps in the end. Okay, so so I lost both of them. All right, so we have both of those. Where did I set my glue? Fine, I'll use this one then. I have 2 glue bottles, yeah. And this one's not gonna work because I haven't used it for a while. Yeah. Please tell me I'm not the only one that loses. Oh, there's my glue bottle. I'm gonna use the other one because this one is not cooperating today. I did find it, okay, okay. It was off to the left today. It's usually off to the right. That's what Kate always tells me. My desk, though, says off to the left today. I put a dot of glue in the center of a little circle. So this circle, I think, is from, it's from a die set. I don't know, a spin and slide die set, probably from MFT. But it's about the right circle width for this. It just needs to be a bigger, it doesn't even have to be a circle. It could be a, you know, hand cut circle. So I used to have, well, okay, so this one, I think it's this one. It's broken, but I used to use this one. For some odd reason, it's hitting somewhere. So I used to use this one, and I went to punch them, and it was not punching them all the way out, and it's broken. I have no clue why it's broken, but it's broken. So I had to improvise and find a different one. It is what it is. And then for this one, for class purposes, you could definitely put your card straight on this. It's, you know, a total preference at this point. So once these are dry enough, I don't know if they're dry enough right now, but I'm going to do it for video purposes. I just want to make sure that my card is going to fit. So there's a little bit of room in there. I could have cut out 2 of these and made it work. It's not, you know, you could have done anything that's going to make it bigger on the front and the back, so those little slide discs can't pop out. That's kind of what you're aiming for. So this is from, I think, the Twist and Shout, or a Twist and Turn one from MFT. It's just a little oval-y. It's smaller than my carrot card. You could definitely just die cut the carrot card. This way I have a little bit more wiggle room to play, and the dots were about the right width that you could put glue on each dot and make it work. So once I have that on, I'm going to let this one dry a little bit. Let's bring in this one. We're going to bring in my card base here and my piece of pattern cardstock. So I cut my piece of cardstock. I think this one is 4 by 5 1/4. I like doing the 4 by 5 1/4 for 12 by 12 sheets because then I can get 6 panels out of them. You know, you just get more bang for your buck when you're looking at pattern paper. And then of course my pre-cut card base here is from, I think it's like the spring pastel pack from Hobby Lobby. I like to pick them up when they have buy one get one free or 50% off all their whatever ones. They're really nice card bases, especially if you want a little bit of color behind. It works well. So it's mostly dry. I don't want to be too, because you know it takes a little bit for it to dry, but it's dry enough that I can flip it over. So for this one, I'm bringing in, I buy this big old roll of tape on Amazon. It's a, I think it's an indoor outdoor foam weather strip. It's a card. It doesn't need to be acid free, so I don't worry about it being acid free. The thing with this one is I usually take like score tape backing. So this is like the release paper for something that's bigger than this, and I roll it out onto it and then I cut. It just makes life a little bit easier. I don't have to worry about overly sticky scissors. I also cut them a lot of times on my guillotine trimmer once they are backed. So they have, this one just has, you know, some other anti-sticky release paper on it, and then I cut it down to size. So for this one, I like the double thickness on it. You could probably get away with one thickness on this card, but being that it is a slider, the more room you really have, the better. So I ended up cutting this one down to, I want to say this is about 3/4 of an inch, and this one is whatever was left on that one. And so I cut that one down there. And then for the ends, I'm just going to come in with the full width of it, but just in smaller strips, just to kind of box it in. You wouldn't need to go this over the top with your adhesive or your foam. You know, you could do one square, 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 one square. You wouldn't need those, you know. I like to put a little bit more on these just for the sake of, I don't know, holding up in the mail, because they're going to end up in the mail. And so that's kind of why I do a little bit more of the foam tape. So once I have that done, I am going to put a little bit of glue. It just gives me a little bit of wiggle room to line up, to each their own, right? Make sure my bottom is my bottom. And then I am going to, make sure it moves so I'm not caught on anything. And then I'm going to kind of center this as best I can, eyeballing it. I think we're fairly level there. So once I have that on, make sure it still moves at this point, because it's still wet. I might be able to pull it up if I need to, right? So now this piece, but you didn't put it on there already. So in days of old, we used to always like put this on and then try to line up your foamed piece and put it on. It never worked for me. I'm not gonna lie. It just didn't. So for me, it's easier to put a little bit of glue on the back of it, kind of lift up this piece a little bit to slide it under, and then drop it in, and then take either your picker tool or, so I'm going to line up that side pretty good, and then I'm going to come back in and touch up that side, kind of move my slidey piece there. So it's pretty good. It looks fairly seamless in there. By using that liquid adhesive, you do have a little bit of wiggle time. Not a lot of wiggle time, but you just go fast enough and you can get it to work its way in there. Now for this one, I just need to glue my bunny into my car. So I'm going to pop him in here. Do I want his hand? Well, we'll go like this. So he's got his hand on the wheel. And then for this one, I'm just going to add glue on to this piece. I'm just going to do dots just because I don't want it to ooze out. And then kind of going to line that up to the bottom part there. Now you could have already just added your card straight on to those little adhesive or the little spinner and slide discs. I just find it's easier to do it that way for class. It's also, I don't know, it was a lot easier to do it that way for here too. It's personal preference. This just worked very well for today. And let's see here. We need to add, there was a sentiment somewhere out there. Okay, so I have my sentiment. I'm just going to pop that underneath here. You could do Happy Easter for this one. You could do, you know, multiple different sentiments on this one. I stamped out Spring is on the way in some black VersaFine Onyx black ink, and then I did some clear embossing powder over the top of it. I stamp out a whole sheet, well, like 3 of them at a time, and then I put clear embossing powder, heat set, and then I go on to do some more, and then I will cut them all out when I'm done with that step. And they are nice and dry. So I cut that with an Avery L simple sentiment strip piece. And let's see, let's add some bling to this one. I didn't add bling to any of the other ones, but you know, it needs a little something. And since I spilled some bling on my desk yesterday, let's see what I've got here. Oh, a lot of purple. There was purple, blue, and pink in this one, or white in this one, but all I am seeing is purple. So let's see if I have, well, that's the one that I spilled, but let's see if I have a white one. or a clear one. Let's see. I know which one I'm looking for, but I don't think I'm going to find it because I think I used it for class. So I don't know where it's currently at. All right, we're going to go with this one. This is just a white iridescent. I think this one's called Glistening Snow, right? Yes, Glistening Snow Mix from Trinity Stamps. Their confetti mixes are some of my favorites. Their Twilight Sky one, I don't think you can get that one anymore. I like the purples and the blues in it. Do I want to do on my little critter? I think we're going to go just a couple here and go from there. We'll start slow. I'm going to do the iridescent shiny ones because they're pretty. We'll do one of each size. How's that? I think that's good. I don't think I want to do any more than that. And making sure that it's not going to interfere with my little carrot car. Okay, I need to put a couple of more. We'll do. It looks like I got an inky finger there. I don't know how, because I don't even have ink on my fingers today. Jamie, I tell you. And let's do, I think the white ones in the sky. I think I have to go with the iridescent ones yet. Well, we're going to put the big one to cover up my inky goodness, my little ink smudge. Do I have a little tiny one up? There we go. So just be careful if you're going to add embellishments on a mover card that you're not actually going to be in the way of your little critter moving, because it will get stuck on them. This one is far enough forward that it doesn't get stuck on it. I also have enough wiggle room with my shaker bit that it moves fairly free and clear. Feel free to add glitter. So that is card 2 in my Brewing Up Creativity with Jaime from Inky&Scrappy class in real time. So, you know, you can definitely, there's the blue one, there's the purple one. You get a little bit color variation in there. This is the only one that has the gems in it. I kind of like it with the gems personally, but that's because I like glitter and shimmer. So those are those. There's that one. So I hope you enjoyed these. Please let me know, comment below if you are wanting, if you want links for anything, let me know. I will try. I don't add them usually because it takes forever and nobody ever uses them. So it's like hours and yeah. Anyways, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Keep getting inky. Bye. Just me playing.